Hi, this is SJ Talks in Life coming back at you with another video. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Please and thank you. I had to sound off on this situation here. Anita Baker took Babyface off her tour. Apparently, there was an issue at one of the shows where and it wasn't, I heard it wasn't entirely her fault. There was some technical issues. I think she was late, don't quote me. And there was some technical issues. She is the headline. Is she? I think she was the headliner. It's her show. It's her show, and he was supposed to open or something like that. And he winded up not performing. He wound up not performing because the show got started late because of technical difficulties and things like that. And I think she was late, but it wasn't entirely her fault because there was some technical difficulties. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. And then, because of the fact that it is, in fact, her show, she told Babyface to not perform that night because he was supposed to open, but because the show was starting late, she went on ahead and so the show wouldn't, so the people wouldn't be there longer than what they were supposed to be there. She went on out there and did her set and told Babyface, that to not perform because of the show starting so late. But I heard that it wasn't entirely her fault because there was technical issues and things like that. Now, everybody got upset with her. Anita Baker, first of all, I'm a huge Anita Baker fan. I'm a huge Anita Baker fan. I like Babyface too. I love his. I like that song Whip Appeal. Love that song Whip Appeal. I love some of his other songs. He's a amazing singer and songwriter, so I like him too. But I am a much bigger fan of Anita Baker. Always, I've been a fan since the '80s, literally. Her and Sade. I was huge fans of both of them in the '80s. So I've been a writer since she had a group in Detroit called Chapter 8. She started out on this group in Detroit. Now, if you're from the Detroit area and you were a Gen Xer or baby boomer or a Gen Xer and you're from the Detroit area, you're probably familiar with her being in Chapter 8. I didn't know anything about Chapter 8 until much later, even though I am a Michigander. I'm not a Detroiter. I didn't learn about Chapter 8 until like way on down the road, but she started with this group called Chapter 8 in Detroit. She was raised up in Detroit. She was born in Ohio, but she was raised up in Detroit. And she started out with that group Chapter 8. But any Gen Xers or baby boomers from the Detroit area are probably very, very familiar with her being in that group. But I've been a huge fan since the '80s. I love to sing. If you didn't know before, singing is one of my hobbies. I like to sing. I think I'm pretty decent at it. I always listen to her songs and sing her songs. Both of my sons grew up listening to Anita Baker because I've been a huge fan and always love to sing her songs and listen to her music. I got some other artists that are my favorites, but she is up there. Her and Sade I started out with them in the '80s being huge fans. So, but anyway, that being said, Anita, this is her farewell tour. Wish I could catch it. This is her farewell tour, and he is, I guess Babyface is supposed to open, and then she comes in, and it's predominantly her show. But because the show got started late and everything, and there were technical difficulties and things like that, she had asked him to not perform. And allegedly, Anita has a reputation of being the B word. or slash diva in the industry. She's has this reputation of being very difficult to work with. I think I seen an old interview of her, and she was talking about that. Basically saying that she stands her ground or whatever like that. But people think that she said it's a certain. I like to have things a certain way because let me tell you. Now, I don't know a lot about the music industry, but I do know some things about the music industry. I know that the music industry treats people like crap. And I know that you have to be a strong person to be in the entertainment industry. I think to work in any industry, you have to be strong and you got to stand your ground. You can't be a pushover and just let people run over you because the music industry entertainment industry period is a tough industry. And I've heard of a lot of artists being taken advantage of and taken and all that type of stuff. And you gotta be strong and you gotta be tough and you gotta be able to stand your ground to keep people from taking advantage of you and running all over you. And she did say in an interview that Anita Baker was up there in my mind. She's up there with Aretha Franklin, Whitney. She's up there with the greats in my mind. Okay, she's just amazing. Um, and my girl has got some vocals on her. Okay, um, she said that she's one of the artists that uh, that she has a great amazing voice, but she also has a great musicians to back her up. Because when I listen to music, I don't just listen to the singing. I also listen to the instruments, and I listen because I'm a big lover of jazz music. So I don't just listen to the singing. I also listen to the band or the orchestra. I listen to all of it, you know. And I don't know a lot about the industry, but I do know enough to know that when you're an artist and you're a singer, you got to have great musicians to back you up. And they got to be on their job because if they don't sound good, you're not going to sound good. And that's what Anita was saying in one of her interviews. She said, I'm a kind of a perfectionist, and people think that I'm a B because I want to make sure that my musicians are doing everything that they're supposed to do and they're going to sound good and all this type of stuff because they, if they don't sound good, I don't sound good. It makes perfectly good sense when you're an artist because you got to have good musicians to back you up, and they got to be on the job and they got to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. That way it doesn't interfere with your performance as an artist. So, I mean, I can definitely, and she said, I'm just very picky in that aspect. I'm picky. She said, I'm a perfectionist. I like to make sure that everything is straight and everything like that. So when I get out there, I'm at my best. And there's nothing wrong with that. If I was an artist, I would have that same mentality. There's nothing wrong with that. And so Anita stands her ground. I think she from Detroit. She from the D, and she is the type that will stand her ground. They said people keep bringing up the fact that allegedly back in the day she fell out with Luther Vandross. Her and Luther Vandross was on a concert together or tour together or whatever. And I love Luther too. I'm a big huge Luther fan too. And Luther allegedly fell out back in the day. And they say he was being a diva too, or a divo. And they was like, well, Anita don't like nobody upstaging her and all this stuff. And I don't know, that may be true. I'm not saying that she's perfect or whatever like this, but it just seems like to me, this is where I'm going with this. It just seems like to me because like she took Babyface off her. She came on Twitter and said she took him off her thing because his fans are making threats towards her. They're harassing her and they're making threats towards her. And that's why she took him off. She didn't take him off because she was just being a bee or whatever. Because his fans are threatening her. They're putting all the blame on her. That situation wasn't entirely her fault. all her fault, but she's getting blamed for all that. And that people keep bringing up her past or how she fell out with Luther and them, because I've been reading the blogs on Facebook. There have been things on Facebook and stuff on YouTube. And so there, everybody keeps saying, "Oh, she was like that back in the day," and some people are sharing some personal accounts and stuff, and she is known to be, But like I said, she said in an interview, people think that way, but I'm a perfectionist. She said, "I want everything to be right and everything." And like I said, in that industry, people will walk all over you if you don't stand your ground. I say all of them. I say it doesn't matter what industry you work in, because I've worked a lot of different jobs, and and there's certain people that will test you. They'll test you, or they'll try to uh, see how far they can go with you, and at some point, uh, you got to put your foot down, or you sometimes you got to demand respect from certain people, or whatever. That's pretty much in every industry across the board. But in the entertainment industry, I hear all these stories of artists being taken advantage of and going through these different things and stuff like that. So you have to be tough, and if you're not tough and you don't put your foot down, people will run all over you. And she's probably just tough. She puts her foot down. She don't let people run over her or whatever the situation is like that, and she stands her ground, and she gets accused. And that's what I'm talking about. Why is it every time a black woman, you know how black women are stereotyped across the board? We're all labeled as having a bad attitude. That's one of the big stereotypes that they have about black women. That and black men are always saying this all the time, that we have bad attitudes, and we are perceived as having bad attitudes. That is the huge stereotype with black women. I hate that stereotype. I just hate it because, you know, any woman can have a bad attitude. I've met plenty of white women with bad attitudes. That's not race specific. Any woman can have a bad attitude. It's just that's according to that particular woman's personality, or it could be that she's having a bad day, or us women, we're menopausal, or we go through our monthly, and there's all kinds of reasons, hormones. There's all kinds of reasons why women can sometimes be a little bit on a, you know, fussy side. All women can have bad attitudes at different times. That is not race specific, because I've encountered plenty of white women with bad attitudes. So I just hate it when black women get that label. But it just seems like to me, every time black women want to stand up for themselves, every time a black woman want to stand her ground, and this is all across the board in any industry, all across the board. It seems like when a black woman wants to stand her ground, when a black woman tries to stand up for herself, she gets labeled with having a bad attitude. And this is what I don't. Why is it that every time a black woman stands her ground, she gets labeled as having a bad attitude? Now, I don't know the whole situation because I wasn't there, but it's always the same scenario. The black woman always gets blamed. It's a black man, babyface, and Anita Baker, the black woman, but everybody's going hard on Anita Baker. I wasn't there. I don't know the whole situation. Educate me a little bit better in the comment section. But why is everybody going so hard for Anita? And they keep bringing up her past, talking about she fell out with Luther. And I heard that Luther was being a diva too. I heard it wasn't just her. It wasn't just one-sided. He was being a God rest Luther, love Luther. But I heard that allegedly he was being a diva. Okay? So they said it wasn't, in that situation, it wasn't one-sided. They were both going back and forth. Okay, Anita is from Detroit. She from Detroit. Okay, she's gonna stand her ground. She takes. I look at her as the type that she will put her foot down, and she said that in one of her interviews. She said, I stand my ground." She said people think I'm being a bee, but she said, a diva. She said, but I stand my ground. She don't let people run over her. And then when black women do stand their ground and they don't let people run all over them, then that's what they get labeled as, someone is having a bad attitude. Now, me, on the other hand, on the flip side, check this out. I've been in the workplace, I've been flip flopped that around. I've been accused of not having an attitude, not standing my ground enough. Because I'm a non confrontational person. I'm not a confrontational type person. I'm a very non confrontational type person. I don't like confrontation. I try to avoid confrontation at all costs. So, you know, I've been accused, I kid you not, I've been accused in the workplace of not standing my ground. But I've always been the type of person, I'm not confrontational, and I pick and choose my battles because I am in a workplace and I'm trying to hold on to my job and I'm not trying to get no labels and stereotypes on me and all this kind of stuff, and not being labeled as difficult and all this type of stuff and get in trouble with management, this and that and the other. I pick and choose my battles. But then you have Pacific people coming and saying, so I've been accused, so it's like a reverse stereotype. It's like you're expecting me to be a certain way because I'm a black woman. Like, why is you expecting me to be a certain way because I'm a black woman? So it's like basically a reverse stereotype. So that's what I'm saying. Black women, we're always in this perpetual no-win situation. It's like we can't win no matter what we do. And we don't stand our ground. People feel like we don't stand our ground enough, then we get flack for that. Or if we put our foot down, stand our ground, we get flack for that. And black women have the right, we have the right to defend ourselves. We have the right to stand our ground and stand up for ourselves without being labeled as someone as difficult, having a bad attitude. The music industry is a tough industry. And if you don't put your foot down, people will run all over you. That's across the board in all industries, but it's even worse in the entertainment industry. And Anita Baker just letting you know right up front, she not finna put up with that. She not finna let you just walk all over her. She not finna let you do all this. And I'm a Anita Baker fan, and this is my take on it. If I buy an Anita Baker ticket to go see Anita Baker in concert, and Babyface is on the ticket, I like Babyface. I love Babyface, okay? However, I'm buying the ticket to see Anita Baker, okay? That's the main person that I'm buying the ticket to see, is Anita Baker, okay? This is why I'm buying the ticket, to see Anita Baker. I'm not buying the ticket necessarily to see Babyface, even though I like Babyface. That's icing on the cake. But I'm buying the ticket to see Anita Baker. Now, I'm pretty sure, because it's Anita Baker's tour, that most of the people that bought tickets to see Anita Baker. Okay? So I don't understand why this situation was such a big issue. There were technical difficulties, but they said she was late. But there were also, it wasn't entirely her fault. He didn't have time to perform his set. She so she so to give to the people, to give the fans what they paid to come see, which is her. She said, "Go ahead and Babyface, and because we're running late because you're not performing, I'll go out there and do my set so the fans won't be upset, because they 9 times out of 10 they probably bought their ticket to so see Anita Baker, okay." So now everybody's coming down hard on her because she took him off the tour. It's because the reason why she did that is because she's being harassed and threatened. That is just completely unacceptable and uncalled for. There is no reason why people should be doing that. Anita Baker is elderly now. She's nice enough to come back because that last tour she did, she said that was it. This was my last tour. If you remember correctly, the last tour she did like a couple of years ago, she said, "I'm done. This is my last tour here." The fans practically begged her to come back and do another one. They begged her. This is the reason why she came back. It's because they begged her to come back. Oh, come on back, Anita. Come on back. So, okay, she's back now. And she's doing a few legs in a few cities. And now everybody's upset because of this situation. Babyface came on and said that he gave a nice message and said, I still respect Anita and all this comment. I'm just unfortunate, this and that and the other. Go read it. And he was gracious about it. He was real gracious about it and everything like that. But people steady keep going at Anita. Keep bringing up her past and all this kind of stuff. Why y'all do black women like that? Why black women always got to be the bad guy in a situation? Just because she stand her ground. And this situation wasn't entirely her fault. But people keep bringing up her past. And, oh, she's known to be difficult and this and that. But she did this and she did her and Luther. And how many years ago was that? Come on. You know what I'm saying? And they say she got the reputation of being difficult. Is it being difficult or is she standing her ground? Which one is it? Or she's not going to let people walk all over her? Which one is it? Which one is it? And then she says she likes things a certain way. She says she's a perfectionist. She said, I like to have things a certain way. I like to make sure that my musicians are on point and all that kind of stuff. If I was an artist, I would feel the same way. Wouldn't you feel the same way if you were an artist? If they don't sound good, you don't sound good. That makes perfectly good sense. So I can understand that. So somebody said that he was a musician on one of her concerts, and she had an attitude, and she was complaining about technical whatever. Okay, everything got to be straight. Another fan said that they would never go to none of her concerts because she was up there complaining about, maybe things wasn't correct. Maybe things wasn't right. Okay. Maybe they were having some issues. What's she supposed to do? Get somewhere and sit down and not say nothing, and then she get out there and sound like the microphones and all that stuff got to be on point. She get out there, the band is jacked up, and the microphones the sound and everything is all jacked up, and she don't sound right. Then people are going to be criticizing her for that. So she's got to make sure everything is straight. And I don't know what people expected. And celebrities are human beings. I don't know why people put celebrities up on a pedestal and expect them to be these perfect angels. Celebrities are human beings. They're human beings just like the rest of us. People expect them to be these perfect angels. They're not these perfect angels. They're human beings like the rest of us. Okay? They get frustrated. They get angry. They get upset. They have the same emotions that the rest of us have. Okay, the same emotions. They're not these perfect angels. They're human beings, and their job happens to be they're entertainers. That's their job. Okay, people put celebrities up on a pedestal. Stop putting these celebrities up on a pedestal and expecting them to be perfect. That's the reason why they it's too much pressure. It's too much pressure on them. That's why a lot of them get into drugs and stuff because it's too much pressure. People expect them to be perfect and stuff. They're human beings like the rest of us. They're gonna have the same emotions. And Anita, I just look at her as a type that she don't take no mess off of nobody. She ain't gonna take no mess, and she not finna let you run over her and walk all over her. And she has standards, and she wants things a certain way. And I don't see nothing wrong with that. She's a legend. She's a legend. She's an established artist. She's a legend. She's legendary. Okay, so yeah. People need to leave my girl alone. She got some issues with her leg. She's elderly. She could have very easily have said, I'm retired. I'm not finna come back. But she was nice enough to come back. People begged her to come back, and she was nice enough to come back. She didn't have to do it. I think she's having some issues with her hip or leg. I watched one of her performances on YouTube a couple of months ago, and she was just limping around all over the place. And I'm like, Anita, sit down. Take a load off. I can relate. I said, take a load off, lady. I said, get you a chair. Why don't they put a chair up there so she can sit down some? Now I know as a singer, it's better for you to stand. You sound better when you stand, but she'll sound better either way to me. But I was really concerned about her because she was limping all over the stage. She didn't have to come back. She could have said, "No, I'm having issues with my leg or my knee or whatever that is, or hip or whatever. I don't want to come back." But she was nice and gracious enough to come back, and this is how people treat her. So I don't know. I just think I'm just every time a black woman wanna stand her ground or whatever, then it's always a problem. She's always labeled as having a bad attitude or whatever situation is. Anyway, let me know. I know you've heard this story because it's all over YouTube and Facebook. Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know if you are an Anita Baker fan. Let me know if you're an Anita Baker fan. Let me know if you're a Babyface fan. Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. What are your thoughts? Uh, uh, um, Educate me on some stuff if I'm wrong about some stuff about that situation. Educate me. And let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Or if you've had any experiences with her or Babyface, let me know that too. Okay. Hit that like, subscribe, and share. And hit that notification bell so every time I do a video, you'll be notified. And until the next video, you guys be blessed.